Okay guys, so it's been about a year ago now, exactly a year ago, when I decided to start shopping for a new compact or subcompact tractor. Originally, I had in my mind that I was going to buy a subcompact tractor, and my main driving force there was price. You know, I looked and I saw that I could get a subcompact tractor with a loader and a backhoe for about the same price as just a compact tractor pretty much by itself. So that was my main driving force there. I wanted to get a total package for a price that was within my budget. But as I went and I looked at all of the subcompact tractors on the market, and I looked at all of them, by the way, what I quickly realized was that a subcompact tractor just wouldn't do what I really needed to do. So, you know, the thing about the subcompact tractors is, you know, most of them are available in that 25 horsepower range, which is plenty of power for a machine of that size. But the problem is the machine weight is too low. So, you know, you're talking about a machine that's really light for the type of ground engaging work that you're going to do with it. You know, when you're pulling a big box blade full of gravel up a driveway, or pushing a large pile of snow, you know, or even if you decide to use a tiller or something or a plow, you know, to cultivate the ground, the weight of the machine really starts to become an issue. And pretty much right off the bat, we used this tractor for a job that made it pretty obvious that it was a good decision to avoid the subcompact tractors. If you saw the video where, following a flood on the Kentucky River, we had to remove a large layer of silt and mud and dirt from the boat ramp on our personal property, this tractor struggled with it a little bit. A subcompact would not have even done the job. So anyway, as I was shopping, I realized that a subcompact wasn't really going to get it done. So that's when I decided to move on up and look at compact tractors. And then the thought was, okay, you can get these in lots of different horsepower ranges. So I would like to get a 25 horsepower. That way I can avoid the emissions equipment. I won't have to worry about a diesel particulate filter, you know, or any of that kind of stuff. So I bought a 25 horsepower compact tractor. And very quickly after I got it home, I realized that 25 horsepower was not enough power for that size of a machine, because now the machine weight is up where I need it, but now I have run out of power. So I kind of went through the whole gamut 1 year ago, and finally I got to the point where I was like, okay, this is an expensive purchase. I'm planning on keeping this the rest of my life. It's worth it to go ahead and spend several thousand more dollars and get a machine that's going to do what I need it to do. The problem with a 25 horsepower compact machine of this size is that, you know, it would work in low range fine. You could do anything you wanted to do in low range. But then when I went to medium range, it started to struggle a little bit, especially when I had the loader on here and an implement on the back, lots of additional weight. It really started to struggle going up the hills. In high range, it was basically a no-go. You know, unless I was full throttle and on a level surface, high range just basically was a no-go. When I mow, I like to mow in medium range. I like to get a little bit more speed. There's a lot of jobs that I do where I like to be in medium range. And the 25 horse engine in that compact tractor, it just wasn't doing it. So, long story short, you can go back and look at the videos if you want to. I ended up taking that tractor back and I got the same tractor with a 40 horsepower engine. This is the most powerful compact tractor that New Holland offers. So today I just wanted to mention briefly how this tractor has been during its first year of ownership, and might touch again on a few reasons why I went with New Holland over the other brands. So first of all, 1 year, and I've got a lot of different jobs under its belt. I mean, we moved all that silt and mud off of the boat ramp, which was a big job. for a tractor even of this size. I've mowed with it. I've moved a lot of snow with it. I've graded out miles of gravel roads with it. So I've done a lot of jobs with this tractor in the first year, and it has been a fantastic machine. Yes, it has the emissions equipment on it, but so far it hasn't been an issue at all. I don't run the tractor full throttle most of the time. A lot of the time I don't even run it at half throttle. I like to stay around that 1500 RPM ballpark. It's just a more comfortable feeling RPM when you're operating the machine, you know, and I've never had any issues. The DPF doesn't plug up. It doesn't cause me any problems. It goes into regen roughly every 30 hours on the hour meter. That's about how often it's doing a regen, which I'm perfectly happy with. You can get a lot done over a pretty great amount of time before you reach 30 hours, and then it goes into another regen, so I'm pretty happy with that. The power is really good. When you do crank it up full throttle, you can really hear the turbo. It starts to whistle, and it's a little bit noisy, to be honest. You know, if I was going to go out and mow for extended periods of time, I might wear some hearing protection, because, you know, once you get the engine really singing, it makes some noise, but I'm okay with that. It doesn't bother me. The power is great. I haven't had any mechanical or electrical issues whatsoever with the tractor. It's just been a really good machine. So I have nothing to really report to you. And I guess it would be more exciting if I had had problems with the machine, but really I haven't. The only concern that I had with it, and I don't even know if it was a problem or not, but the only concern that I had was that noise that it was making upon cold startup. So like right now it's 20 degrees outside. Used to be, if I got on this tractor right now, after it's been sitting all night and I started it up, it would make a whining noise from underneath the tractor. It sounded like it was coming from the hydraulic system. So I'm thinking it probably had some air in the system somewhere. I changed the filters, I checked the fluid levels, did pressure tests on the system. You know, I mean, everything kind of checked out. Didn't know why that noise was there, but it was there for a long time, probably the first 6 months that I owned the tractor. And at some point, probably 4 or 5 months ago, back at the end of fall last year, it just quit doing it. So I don't know, it just kind of went away on its own. Maybe it did just have some air in the system, and eventually that air worked its way out. But when I first started the tractor up, it would whine for 15, 20 seconds maybe, and then it would go away, be fine the rest of the day. And that has kind of self-resolved itself. So other than that, no problems. It's been a really great tractor. Hear a lot of trash talk on the forums and things about LS tractors. As you know, these New Hollands are actually LS tractors that are rebranded, but as far as I can tell, it's a pretty good machine. Now let's kind of briefly go over why it is that, just to recap, that I went with the New Holland over all of the other brands, because I did look at all of the brands, everything that I could get my hands on and look at in person and test drive and talk to the salesman. And I mean, I looked at everything out there before I made this purchase and decided to go with the New Holland, and here's kind of why. So let's just begin at the front of the machine and work our way back. So the bucket on this machine is a larger bucket. You know, if you look at it in terms of cubic yards or, you know, the volume that you can put in the bucket, it's just a larger bucket than the competition. So I liked that. It has a standard bucket level indicator on here. It's a very simple, you know, rudimentary one, but it does in fact work pretty well. You can see the little kink in it right here. And when that kink is up here, then you know that the bucket is going to be level when it's on the ground. I keep it tilted like this once in the barn just to make space to get the other machines in and out okay. So yeah, right off the bat, the loader was a little bit nicer. The lift capacity on it is higher than the competitors' loaders. It's got the quick park feature where you can quickly detach the loader from the tractor and leave it somewhere. if you want to. So these things, believe it or not, were optional on a lot of the other brands. And then you have brands like John Deere where you couldn't even get these options on your loader unless you went up to the R series. And then you're talking several thousand additional dollars of money. So I just like the loader better, and we do a lot of loader work with this tractor. So that was a big selling point for me. Moving on back, you got a 3-range sub transmission where most of the competitors that I looked at had a 2-range. Some of them had a 3-range, and the John Deere offered a 3-range again if you went up to a more expensive model. But this one is standard with it, so that was nice. It has the hydrostat pedals that you can see over there, the forward and the reverse pedals on the left and the right of each other, the way that it's supposed to be. Absolutely hate the treadle pedal on the Kubota, couldn't stand it. Some of the other brands have a similar setup to this, but the ergonomics were not as nice. This one just works great. Pedals are where they need to be. It's easy for your brain to learn. It doesn't wear out your leg to use it. I just like that. I like the way it's designed, so that's great. It's got a cruise control feature, which is really handy, especially if you're going to be mowing or doing some bush hog work or something like that. The cruise control feature, even when I'm out here grading this half-mile long gravel road, I use that cruise control feature. And again, that's something that's not standard on a lot of the other brands, including John Deere. Once again, they said I would have to go up to an R model John Deere to get the cruise control feature. They said they would gladly add it for me for another $400, but the New Holland has it standard, which I really appreciated. You've got the electric PTO operation right there, which is in a great spot to get to. You know, when I'm mowing, sometimes I get a little nervous because, you know, if the grass is tall, you never know, and there might be an animal out there, or, you know, maybe something hiding underneath of the hay or the grass that you don't realize is there. Sometimes you have a situation where you just need to turn the PTO off really fast. And the way this is designed, it's right there in front of you. It's bright yellow. You can, you know, if it's engaged, you can just smack it and it'll automatically turn off. That's the way it's designed. So I really like that as well. Something as simple as the brakes. You notice that this one has the twin brake pedal. You can operate left and right brake independently, which is something that tractors have had traditionally for many years, and a lot of the modern compact tractors don't have that. So I really appreciate that as well. The bottom line is that the function of this tractor, the ergonomics, the features, the way they set this tractor up is just more traditional, and it's just more convenient for getting jobs done. I mean, there's a lot of things on here that are standard equipment that you have to pay extra for on the other brands. Hey there, Mittens. Sorry for interrupting you there. So the tires, I mean, let's just talk about the tires. This tractor has 43-inch rear tires on its standard equipment, and a lot of the other tractors I looked at had smaller tires on them. The John Deere tractors didn't even have 43s until you went on up in cost to a more expensive model. That seems to be an overrunning theme with the John Deeres, is if you want these kinds of features, you can get them, but you have to pay a lot more money for them. So I liked having the larger rear tires. You know, the larger your tires are in the rear, obviously the better your traction is going to be, and the more weight, more ballast you can put in here when you add the fluid to the tires. In the rear of the New Holland, you've got a fuel cell up here where it's easier to get to. I have decided that I don't like this location as well as I thought I was going to. I would much rather it be down here underneath of the footstep. That would make it a lot easier to hold the diesel fuel canister while you're filling it up. But this is a lot better than having it up there on the hood, which is where it still is on John Deere tractors of this price range that I looked at. So I like being able to get to the fuel cell easier. You notice that it's got a pair of remotes back here, which again is standard equipment on this tractor, and you have to pay extra for that on a lot of the brands that I looked at. The 3-point linkage down here is, you know, you've got these stabilizers that have the really nice pin and clip style adjustment instead of the turnbuckle, which can freeze up on you and kind of be a pain. This one is just selectable. You find which hole you want, stick the pin and clip, you know, stick the pin in and clip it, and it's ready to rock. So it's just, I found that it's a lot easier to use, and that was standard on this tractor as well. As we work our way over to the other side of the tractor, you'll notice that the loader controls are remotely mounted out here on the fender. The 25 horsepower version of this tractor has them mounted up here. It's actually bolted onto the framework for the loader, and then your joystick is right up here. I actually kind of like that better. This is not bad, but I find that with the remote setup like this, it's just a little bit more finicky. The controls are not quite as precise, and it actually gets in the way a little bit more here than it does when it's up here. So I'm not a giant fan of this location, but it's not a big deal. And some people like having it over here. You know, the idea is that when you're on the tractor, it's within reach. You know, if you're, let's say you rest your elbow down here, you got a hand up on the joystick, it's just more within reach was the idea. But I find that in practice, that's not really an issue, and I would rather have it located up here so that it's out of the way. But again, it is what it is. No biggie. Got your throttle control here. Again, nice and easy to get to. So one more thing I'll mention is that you've got some additional features on the Workmaster 40, like this, I don't even really understand a lot of the reason for this, but you can set it to where it'll have a programmed RPM that it will immediately go to when you press the button. So you can go to the RPM you want with the throttle, and then you can set that RPM, and then you can simply use the button here to, boom, quickly go right back to that working RPM. So if you're, you know, doing some kind of a job where you want a specific RPM from the engine, you can set that, and then this button will immediately take you to that RPM, and you can go up and down with it here as well. And you've got a button over here that has a lot to do with your emissions, delaying a regen or maybe forcing one to happen, but I have never had to use that button. So really at the end of the day, this tractor just had a lot more features that were standard equipment for the same money. And that was one of the huge factors of me picking this tractor. The other thing is dealer support. This is a big deal when you're looking for a tractor. You have to be able to find parts, you have to be able to get service, and it's helpful if you have a dealership that you know is going to be around 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you know? Because when people buy tractors like this, like in my case, I'm planning on keeping this tractor for the rest of my life. If things work out the way I hope, I'll give this tractor to my son one day. You know, so I want to know that way down the road, there's still going to be parts out there. I can still go to my dealership and get help if I need it. And some of the brands, a little bit sketchy. I don't know if they're going to be around. You know, I looked at those Rural King tractors, which I think are made by TYM and then rebranded. I looked at Branson, and goodness, I can't even remember all of the brands I looked at. There's a lot of brands out there that I hadn't really heard of until I started doing this shopping. The Coyote, however you want to pronounce that. I looked at all of those, and I just wasn't really confident that those dealerships or those parts and service networks were going to be there for me 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now. So really that kind of boils down to a couple of the big names, you know, Massey Ferguson, New Holland, John Deere, you know, those big names that we all know of. Those dealerships are large enough, their networks are large enough, they've got big enough budgets that they're probably going to be around for a long, long time. And so at the end of the day, it kind of came down to John Deere or New Holland for me. And the New Holland got the nod because it was a less expensive tractor with more features and still a really good dealer network. So the only thing that I've added to the tractor is this brush guard right here, because the Workmaster 25 came with one, but the Workmaster 35 and 40 do not come with one. So I had a guy that I know here locally who's a fabricator to make one for me. That way when we're doing loader work, especially moving brush around and things, I don't have to worry about knocking out a headlight or busting up the grill. That's really the only thing I've added to this tractor. And like I said, it's been a really good tractor, super happy with it. Would I buy the New Holland again? Absolutely. It just kind of fit what I was looking for. The price was right, the features are right, and the dealer network is going to be definitely there for me for the long haul. Garfield is over there sunbathing in the window because it's a pretty chilly day out there. I guess there is one more thing I added, and that was this canopy here. I like this quick connect canopy. You can take it on and off literally in seconds, and if you're out there mowing or doing some work on a hot summer day, that came in pretty handy as well. I really like that canopy. I think that was around 500 bucks, so it was one of the more expensive things I bought for the tractor. Well, I didn't really buy much for the tractor. I guess it was the most expensive thing I bought for the tractor, but I really like it though. On the Workmaster 40, you also get a heavily upgraded dash display here. The Workmaster 25 was more simple and old-fashioned, and this one has the cool colored looking gauges and everything. You can see I've got almost 100 hours on the machine now. So, like I said, it's been a really good machine, and hopefully I'll get another really great year out of it this year. Yeah, so if you guys are going to be doing some more shopping for a compact tractor or even a subcompact tractor and you got some questions, you can post them below and I'll try to help you out with my experience. But like I said, I just felt like that, you know, when I was going around all these different places looking at tractors, operating tractors out in the parking lots, and looking at how the tractors were constructed and built, you know, the John Deere tractors I looked at in this frame size, they even had an aluminum rear case. Like the drive case was aluminum. It's like, why would you make something out of aluminum that you know has to stand up to pulling and tugging and working for many, many years? I just don't know why you would cheap out and do that. And that reduces the machine weight also, which is a big deal. So when you really start to look at the fine details on how they build these tractors, how they're designed and everything, they really do have some differences. You'll start noticing that, you know, some of the brands really do stand out above the other ones, and I just felt like the New Holland was the way to go. It doesn't get a whole lot of attention, it seems like, in the compact tractor world, but I would be willing to put this New Holland up against any other tractor in the compact segment. If we're talking apples to apples on price tag, I would put this one up against any of them for the same money. So there it is, 1 year with a New Holland Workmaster 40. Can't wait to see what else we can get into with this tractor when spring finally rolls around. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you later.